Welcome. This is the Club Excellence Series, and the purpose of the Club Excellence Series is to give club officers or club members all the information and resources they need to help their club succeed. We want all clubs to achieve excellence, and the foundation of this series is the Moments of Truth. This series started in December, and we have 7 meetings scheduled between December and June of this year, December of last year and June of this year. And we are grateful for several guest presenters. Patti is going to be presenting this evening. There are 6 pillars in the Moments of Truth. We presented Pillar 1 in December. Patti will be speaking on Pillar 2 this evening here in January. In February, we have a special guest speaker, Michael Whitehouse, and he will be speaking on how to manage social media. And that is not specifically part of the Moments of Truth, but he has a particular topic that he wants to present, and I believe there are a lot of folks who would benefit from that information. Other presenters include Simone Brooks in March, Professor Robert Ekblaw in April, Sharon Mercado in May, and then I'll be presenting again in June. You and all other club officers and members are welcome to join us for the Club Excellence Series to learn more information about the Moments of Truth and possibly some other resources to help you and your clubs succeed. Okay, Sharon.
Jim, just a quick question. I know these are being recorded. For people that are on this, if I wanted to let other members know, where are the recordings located so that we can share those with other people to entice people to come to the next one?
I'm going to take that as homework, and I need to talk with our district services manager, Norm Thibodeau. And I don't have the answer right now, but I will ask and I will find out.
Thank you, Jim.
All right, then.
All right, perfect.
Over to you, Patti.
Thank you so much. It's been a long time. I can't remember the last time I shared something on Zoom. It's been so long. Ugh. All right. All right, are we all set? Can everybody see? I can see only a couple of you, so I think if you need to stop me, please feel free to stop me. Can you see the slides okay?
Yes.
All right. So helping you succeed, that's what the name of the Club Excellence Series. This is part 2. My name is Patti Walter. I am a DTM, Distinguished Toastmaster. I've been with Toastmasters since June 1st, 2013. I have held every district position, every district. So I have been a area director twice, division director, club growth director, program quality, and last year I was the district director. So that's a little background about me. Education-wise, I have been doing training since as far back as I can remember. Prior to Toastmasters, I am a learning and development trainer, was for one of the major companies. I also did training before that. In the company I worked, I created a whole training program for them. And it was a chain of convenience stores. So today, this is the Moments of Truth. As Jim stated, it's 6 pillars, 7 meetings. December 10th was the first impressions. Today, we're going to base ourselves on membership orientation. So it's all about the members. And then we'll go on to Whitehouse will do a social media, which is not part of Moments of Truth, but really very important when we're trying to market our clubs. Then we have fellowship, variety, communication, program planning, and meeting orientation, membership strength, and then achievement recognition. All right, so what I would like you to do, and I say 5 minutes, but since there's only a couple of you, maybe it will be only 3 minutes. I'd like you to take out a sheet of scrap paper, whatever, and I'd like you to think back, if you can, remember when you started, when you became a Toastmaster, what was your orientation like? So if you can remember back when that happened, for some of us, it was 10 years, some maybe only 2 or 3 years, some maybe a lifetime ago. What do you remember about your orientation? That's my first question. And then my second question is there anything that you wish you had learned during it that you learned later on? So was there something that aha moment that came 2 or 3 years later that you wish that someone would have shared with you earlier in your experience? So I'll give you a couple minutes and you can just let me know when you're done. All right, so Preeti, it looks like you're done. Cheryl, are you done? I don't know how I don't know why I can't see everybody. I was hoping I could see you all across the top of the
There,
screen.
there, at least on my Zoom client, there's a view button, and
Yeah.
maybe if you switch to gallery, view gallery instead of speaker view, I don't know. I'm anyway.
Yeah, and you're right, but I don't know where it is.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, there
I don't.
there might be a three dots and a more, or
I see a more. Record, disable, hide video panel, hide floating meeting controls,
okay.
share sound. Yeah. Oh well. I have another thing, but I'm afraid if I touch it, that I'm gonna. I got y'all in the corner.
View gallery.
Does that bother the slides? Can you still see the slides?
I can still see the
Yes.
slides.
Okay, perfect. Are we all set? Can we continue then?
Yes.
Whatever you wrote on your thing, I'd like you to just refer back to it as I go through what I want to share with you about membership orientation. There's no right or wrong answers. I may have forgotten something that I like to do when I do membership orientation that you can add. So if something comes up, just add it, and then we'll also allude back to it at the end when we follow up and see if we have stuff to offer. Okay, so membership orientation. The first thing that's most important about when you are with a new member is to getting to know them. Why did they join? What is their goal? And the reason why this is so important is because you want to assign a mentor that is going to fit them. You want us to assign a mentor that's going to fit with their goal. If their goal is to be a better leader and you have a mentor that's more on wanting to do speeches and not leading, maybe not the right choice for a mentor. So this way, getting to know your new member, and this is usually done for the VPM, the VPE, the both of them should work together. The president, I mean, it's really a team effort to know this new member. And then once you find them, assign them a mentor that fits them. And when I use the word mentor here, I really should have put mentors because we all have our own specialties. So you assign a mentor, but they may ask other people to assist along the way. And I'll show you a little bit more what I mean when we get in there. Have the new member understand if that mentor doesn't work out, there is no shame by asking for someone different. Okay, there's no shame and it could be that their personalities conflict, they can't meet at the same time, whatever. So please let the mentor know that they are very in their own right to ask for someone else if something's not working. Again, as I said, you can have members for specific tasks and be flexible. And then again, the VPE and the VPM through this whole thing should be following up also with the member. The VPE is on their education goals. How are they doing with their education goals? What can they offer, if anything? And the VPM is just how is it working holistically? Are they getting what they need to know? Are they getting where they need to be? Are they meeting? Sometimes they're not, mentors aren't meeting. You assign a mentor and the new person is so afraid to say anything, but the mentor never reaches out. You're not doing a service to this person. And that's why we have turnover. Okay. That's why we have turnover, is because we assign mentors, but then the mentors don't do anything. The new member's afraid to say anything. And so then in 6 months, they just don't renew. So you want to make sure that that there's some follow-up. Okay. So I want to talk about these things when I think of mentorship. I think of mentoring them on, or orienting them on the club. I think of them on the websites, Pathways, the TI website. Even if the club has a website, a Facebook site or something, I think about letting them know about that. I think about club and meeting roles. What are the roles of the club? What are the roles in the meeting? And how do we explain that to them? Evaluations. Evaluations is the one in all the years that I have had any kind of education sessions. When I have talked to new people, evaluations are the ones that scare them. They have in their mind, I am new and nobody needs to hear from me. And we need to change that perspective. And then after all that's said and done, let's talk about outside the club. Let's bring in the organization. Let them know what makes up the organization, what the organization has them, how they can grow and would use and assist the organization. All right, so let's get into the club. So the first thing is you want them to know about the members. That's the most important. So I'm hoping that when you have a new member, you do a roundtable introduction and it's not just, hi, my name is Sharon. No, my name is Sharon. I live in Rockport. I like to do needlecraft on my, needlecraft when I have spare time. So get to know just a little bit about each other, because then that person's going to say, oh, I like needlecraft. Maybe I should talk to Sharon. And they're going to feel comfortable because they know there's something similar with somebody else there. Okay. Then also the roles. So who's the president, who's vice president, all of that. So, and what that means to them, like if you have a question about, what we call our learning experience, you would go to the VPE. If you have a question about renewals, when that comes around, when that goes in dues, you may talk to our treasurer. So things like that. You want to talk to them about the importance of being a club member and what it is that when the club is being distinguished. You want to talk to them straight up about the moments of truth. And they really should be part of your moments of truth ongoing. So anytime you renew that moments of truth, anytime that you talk about it, they really should be part of it. And they should be part of the club success plan. Because let's remember, if we're doing the moments of truth properly, we're creating that club success plan. And the only way the club is successful is if all the members are part of it. So whether they're a new member or whether they're an existing member that's been there forever, don't hesitate to get that new member involved in the club success plan shortly after they start. I'm not saying the first day or the second day, but maybe you have an event coming up in 6 months and that they can assist with something like that. So don't be afraid to get them involved in what's going on in the club. Any questions on any of that? Go ahead, Sharon.
Patty, what do you consider a value? Like, for example, new members, one of the things we do is ask them to fill out the member interest survey. And then what we've started doing, which we didn't haven't done up to this point is 30 or so days after they join, we do that, what's it called? The members, it's a follow-up survey, basically to understand from them, what did you like about what we helped you get started with? And what didn't you? And then we, as officers, we take that to look and see, are there other things we need to change? Because we're not getting them the information they need. What do you recommend doing those as well?
Sharon, I'll be honest with you. First I've heard of them. I've never done them, but I listening to you explain to them, I think that is a great tool that you can use. The reason being, and let's just think about what we do as an organization. We evaluate. So if you're not following up with that member in 30 days to see what the loose ends is and what they need assistance with, then they're not evaluating what we as a club can do better. And we're not doing that check and adjust. And it's very important throughout this whole mentorship, this whole orientation, that you check and adjust. And it's very important to let them know that they're there to offer feedback. And that's why I'm saying they should be part of that moments of truth. They should be part of the success plan. They should be an active member. And in order to be active, they need to feel confident. So if you're checking and adjusting with them and having ongoing conversations, you're going to build the confidence in them. So they're going to be able to feel like, yes, I can participate in this. And yes, I can say, you know what, Sharon, I really don't feel comfortable with pathways yet. Or I don't feel really comfortable about any type of the officer rules. So then Sharon knows that, okay, let me get someone to talk to you, or let's sit down for a half hour. Let's talk and discuss them. Let me see what your questions are. So I think that's a great idea, Sharon. And if I don't have those links, but if you have them and can throw them in the chat, that would be wonderful. Thank you. Any other questions? KJ, how are you? Thank you for joining us.
Hi everyone, how you doing? I did get this invitation, and I hope I'm listening because I'm learning. But I just want to know more about. Is this for the judges that's coming into competition, or this is just for?
So this all is all about the moments of truth and membership orientation. So we're talking about what are some of the actions that can be taken when a new member joins the club, so that we can get them to want to stay and not have high turnover. And it's open to everybody is welcome here.
Okay, I'm a vice president of education in the club in District 46, and I listened to what you were saying. You gave some really good points. What I've noticed, and I know I'm coming in late, I don't want to jump into your meeting.
Go for it.
What I've noticed is I've only been a Toastmaster for 2 years. Let me just say that. So I'm kind of new to it. But what I noticed is a lot of clubs miss the opportunity because when the new members come in, they don't answer the questions. So I have joined numerous clubs and I've left because I would ask for mentors and nobody would get back to me. I would ask questions about roles, no one would get back to me. And what I noticed is that some older members, either they're not in it, or they misunderstand what a good member looks like. They're inquisitive. They have questions. They want to support. I don't want to come in a space and just take. I want to give back something. But it's hard to do that when you don't feel like you're welcome. Like you just invited me to speak right now and you don't even know me. So that shows me I can imagine whatever club you're running, I can see if I come to that club, I will be supported. And I think if we all remember what it was when we first started being a Toastmaster and we just get back to that space, we'll do really well. And thank you for letting me speak.
You're welcome, KJ. Welcome.
Thank you for being here.
All right, so we're going to move on if we have no more questions. Perfect. All right. So the next thing is the other things about the club, the demographics. So just make sure that these new members know this is where we meet, okay? Especially if you have to meet in 2 separate places, or if you can only meet in person one time and have to do Zoom another time. The other thing is, when do you meet? What is the exact time of starting? Do you do a social hour before? Do you take a 15-minute break in the middle? You know, if you're going to be out at 8, tell them we're out at 8. We're not out at 8:05, 8:10, 8:15. We're out at 8. So tell them anything like that. Where the bathrooms are, you know, where the lights are, things like that. You may start at 7 o'clock and they may get there at 10 and the room is dark. Well, where is everything to set up? How can they turn the lights on? Maybe you have to set the room up. They can start helping before people get here. Little things like that go a long way. The other thing, which is also very important, is, especially in our wonderful New England, is contact information. 6 inches of snow. Are we meeting Toastmasters? Who can I call? How do I get a hold of them? Do they do text? Do they do email? How does that work? Very important. Very, very important. That is like day one, guys. If you miss that on day one, you're in trouble, because we know in New England it could snow and we not know what's going to snow. And then everything changes and you have this poor new member that just paid $60 and they don't know if they're meeting or not, because and they have no way of getting hold of somebody. So make sure that they know, hey, we have a email. We have an email that we send out if we're not meeting, or we have a text chat or whatever. And the other thing is, how do they prefer to be contacted? If the vice president of education, the vice president of membership needs to reach out, they want to have a chit chat, they want to see how they're going, what's the best way to get a hold of you? My best way right now, email, is not my best way anymore. I'm not on my computer every day. I don't work anymore. I'm semi-retired. So you want to get a hold of me, you better text me. Okay? Because if you email me, I'm not on it every day like I used to be. You can ask Sharon. I used to live on my emails. I was on them 24/7. 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm still on emails. Not anymore, guys. Sometimes my computer sometimes looks at me like, who are you? Because I'm not on it like I used to be. Okay. And then the other thing is kind of fill in the history of the club. How old is it? Where did it start? Has it moved locations over time? What makes your club special? What makes it special? Oh, we were once made up of only engineers, or everybody in our club likes to have themes. We like to have fun. Whatever the case is, if you have something special about your club, let them know that. All right. So now we're going to move on. Okay, go ahead, Preeti.
So Patty, what happens if we are all virtual? Because that's what we have as a club. What would be the best way you can guide us for the club meetings?
Okay, well, the club meetings. Okay, so there's a couple things that you don't need to tell them. Okay, you don't need to tell them how to turn the lights on, where the bathroom is, and all of that stuff. So you don't need to tell them that. Virtual, I'm finding, and I know this from experience because my club was virtual. Somehow it's easier to cancel a meeting when it's virtual. Okay? It just seems like, oh, we only have 4 members, we're going to cancel the meeting, because no one has to, you're not getting someone halfway driving there and anything. Rule of thumb, number 1, never cancel a meeting, especially a virtual meeting. There's absolutely no reason to cancel a virtual meeting. You're not snow, rain, sleet, hail, any of that stuff. So there's no reason. If you have lower membership in a virtual meeting, then do table topics. Even if you only meet for half the time, still get together. Do a Q&A session. Do table topics. Do some brainstorming on how you can get more members in. But for a online thing, I say never ever cancel. The other thing with that is you still can do all of the other stuff. You still can have and express to them the importance of what your club has to offer. You can still talk about the moments of truth. You can still talk about a club success plan. You can still, demographics, you don't have any of that stuff. But most of you're all Voya positions, right? So you talk, that's what your club is. It's made up of Voya employees. Maybe talk to them about why Voya started this club, what area in Voya started it, and things like that. So things like that can be part of this whole club orientation. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so now I'm going to go into Pathways and the TI website, and you can tell Pathways is in red. So that's why we're going to start off with it. Okay, so as I stated before, you really, really want to assign a mentor. And the most important thing with Pathways, because it is so developed and there's so much to it, is you really need to take your time with it. Don't overwhelm them by saying, okay, we're going to log in and I'm going to show you the path, and then we're going to go to Navigator and you're going to do the survey, and I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to show you how to anything. No. Pathways should be taught in steps, in baby steps. Okay. So the first thing is, of course, let me show you the website to the TI. Let me show you how, what your password is, your login. Let me show you how to get a password. Okay. So that should be step one thing. And maybe after step one, I wouldn't even get into pathways. I would just play around with it. I would say, here, how to, this is how you toggle back and forth between the screens. And just play with TI website and all. Just kind of look at it, just kind of get a touchy feeling with it. And that may be your first pathway session. And then the second session is getting into pathways. But before you get into it, explain it. Explain to it that this is our education system. This is how we use to develop you as leaders and communicators. And explain each path has so many required speeches. And also part of the path is that you take leadership roles. And we'll get more into the leadership roles as part of a meeting. Explain all that to them. Then show them the list of paths and kind of go over it a little bit about what in path, collaboration helps you build with collaboration, innovative planning, presentation. So give them a little bit of, and it's all out there on TI to let them look at a little bit of the that thing. Then you can get them. And you may stop there and let them say, here, go and look and see if something that, it appeals to you. Do you see yourself going one way or the other? Then the next one may be the navigator and taking the survey. And explain to them, listen, the survey is not foolproof, but it's going to look at the answers and it's going to recommend some paths. Now, you've already looked at the paths. We did that last week. So the survey tells you that you should do path A, B, and C, but you're saying, nope, I definitely need to do D because I need to do presentations. That's part of my job at work, and I really need to get good at presentations. Then that's fine. Then do presentations. It's their choice. Remember, the survey is a recommendation. Okay, they don't have to go with it. And then that's after they do all of that, the next one would be get into their first path and explain the path, how it has levels, and let them open the levels. Let them see what some of the requirements are. Because as we all know, when you get into the fourth and fifth level, those are very time consuming. So people go through level 1 and 2, and then they start getting 3 and they start panicking because, oh, wait a minute, I could do 1 and 2 in a month or 2 months, but now this is going to take me 3 or 4 or 5 months. So explain that to them because they may want to review 3, 4, and 5 and say, oh, I like this one. I'm going to start thinking about this project in level 4 now. So when I get to it, or I can start doing it now, as I'm starting to feel comfortable, and then I can finish level 4 project, but still not level 3. So they can do all that. So explain to them that it doesn't have to be done in order, and that as the more they go, the little bit harder that they are. And then talk to them about the importance of doing that evaluation before and after, and tell them this is how you can tell that you grew. Be honest at the beginning and be honest at the end. And if there's no change, that's okay. Just say to yourself, okay, I didn't change in that. This is something I need to work on with my next project. Okay, this is what I want to improve on. Oh, wow, I did change in that. I really wasn't concentrating on changing in that, but what a big difference. Okay, and then the hardest sometimes to them, although with the new pathways, it isn't as bad, is how to submit a level in the path. So this is really high level. I know we all know once we get into pathways, it's not as easy as this is, but this is kind of like the highlights of pathways. And did I forget anything that you think is important? I didn't. I'm pretty proud of myself. Sharon?
Well, only other thing I was gonna add is one of the things that we do in our club is we emphasize projects as well as level and path. Because we
Mhm.
do have people that only can do one or two projects based on their workload, their family and other things.
Mhm.
So we want to ensure that they don't feel like they're not getting anything done. So they set their goals based on projects and then can work towards level and path.
Right. That's a good point too. Um, you know what also is good, and Sharon, I know you do this with your club, is Sharon has a great chart, and she shows every member where they are. You know, when they finish a level, finish a path, a level. Sharon has it all documented. And this isn't for a nah, I'm on level 2 and you're on level 1, or I'm on level 4 or level 2. This is more, hey, Sharon, I see you just finished level 3 of collaboration. Congratulations. So it helps as a VPE to see where your club goes, especially as you try to get those points for that distinguished, because you may say, wow, we're only short distinguished. Oh, look at such and such only needs to do one more speech. Sharon, what can I do to get you to get this speech done? If we can get this speech done by the end of May, our club's going to be distinguished, Sharon. What can I do to help you do it? Can I take some of your VPM stuff off? Can I do something for you? Can I babysit your kids one night? What can I do to help you succeed? But also sharing this, it's a two-way street. It does do a great job in building that club collaboration. We in our club use it as a contest at sometimes. When we were having problems getting people to speak or getting members to come, we would have contests. We would have quarterly contests, and we would assign points. So if you bring a guest, you got so many points. If you did a speech, you got so many points. If you took a rule, you got so many points. And each quarter, the point value changes. Maybe not each quarter. It was about every 6 months, depending on what we wanted to build for the club. So if we were trying to build membership, bringing guests and getting them to member, you got assigned more points. If we were trying to get, and if you're bringing members and guests, then usually you don't have problem people giving speeches because you got lots of members to fill that role. If we have trouble giving speeches, then we would assign more points to the speech. And then we just would give a quarterly prize. We had a little bit of a budget, so we would buy like Toastmaster umbrellas or Toastmaster backpacks or something like that. And whoever got the most point at the end of the quarter, you can do 6 months, you can do a year, we would give them that prize. So it was a little competition, but at the same way as a little competition, you're building your club, you're building that collaboration, and you're seeing the growth of your members. So, I mean, that's something too that we can get more into if you want to after, if we have time. Okay, and then the TI website. So that's Toastmasters International. And that's really good to let them kind of see where their profile is, show them where the magazines are, the About Toastmasters page, what how big Toastmaster really is. And that really should be done like the first couple of days. So they realize, oh, wait a minute, this isn't this rinky-dink club that I just paid $60. This is a whole international organization that I have hundreds and thousands of people that support, that are going through the same road I'm going, taking the same journey. Show them where the awards and badges are and how they can use that. Show them where resources are. Where are the resources? If you have questions, how do you get a resource? Then, of course, to the store. If they want to buy any kind of merch, where to get it on the store. But then again, when you're in that website, this is the best place for them just to play around. And that should be really the first thing they do before they even get into pathways. It's just get into the website and just play around and just understand the organization a little bit to see what they're really spending their money in, and understanding that it's not just a rinky-dink club of 15 or 20 members in a rural community. It's a really big organization that's there to support them. And looking at the website and seeing the numbers there and the history, it will do that for them. All right, so that's my second thing, is the websites. So we've gone over the club, we've gone over the websites. I'll take a 2-minute break and see if anybody has any questions. or statements? Jim?
I will say that the Toastmaster magazine used to be real paper in your hand. Now it comes electronically via the website, but there are still many very good articles available to you and all members. As some of us have already stated, many of us get a lot of emails, and the Toastmaster magazine is hopefully one of them. It is worthwhile to delve into the Toastmaster magazine and perhaps select one article from the Toastmaster magazine to highlight at one of your meetings. You can say, hey, this is an article that came on the Toastmaster magazine. The Toastmaster magazine is part of your membership and the resources that are available to you. Please log on to the Toastmaster website and access your magazine because there's a lot of good information there. That's a
Sure is.
suggestion I have.
Nope, great idea. And a lot of clubs are starting to do that. They do like a little bit of a they get someone to read an article and then they share it like once a meeting. So that is a great idea to share the magazine. It was great when it was in paper. A lot of us would use it and give it to visitors to get them to look to see about the organization. But unfortunately, it went paperless.
Hey, Patty, do you do anything when you're talking about the website? And maybe you have it down later, but one of the things I've seen, there's a lot of frustration are with new members understanding our own club website, how to get on it, how to assign themselves a speaking role or a role on the agenda. Is that something else that you cover as well?
I did not. I covered that more when I did the club, and I went really quickly with it. But that is another thing that you're very like. I will be honest with you, free toast host. I dislike. I don't know why. I can't wrap my hands around it. I think part of it was because I was in two clubs using it, and I had to have two different logins and two different passwords, and it was like a nightmare. And I don't know, and it could have been just the way I was set up. But you're right, Sharon, it is. And the importance of using it, the importance, and that's your true part of the mentor, that if you're using anything, if you're using like Free Toast Host or any other app or whatever to sign up for meeting rules or to put in your information about what speech you're giving, it's important to also go over that. As well as your website. If you have a Facebook account, it's important for them to know how to log into them to be able to post to it. If they have a thing, it's they, as especially as new members, should really be able to post saying, hey, I just joined this wonderful club and I had a great time tonight, or whatever the case. You want them to be able to post it too and see where it is, and even to be able to go back and see where you've been, because they may go back and say, hey, I noticed a couple years ago that you did a theme of everybody wore red. Can we do something like that? They may remind people of what happened in the past, because let's face it, I'm going to be honest with you. Sometimes when we sit around, we become old farts and we just get used to just doing the same thing over and over again. And when you have that new blood and that new life, they can remind you how to add a spark to your club meetings and add a spark to Toastmasters. And that's only powerful. And that's a great thing. So listen to them if they're telling you, but understand that they need to see what you've done in the past and all of that and share stories. And you're right, KJ, when you said there are people that have been in Toastmasters many years. They're set in their ways. They didn't want to go pathways. They were used to the books. They liked the books. They didn't want to go pathways. For some of them, and I've had clubs do it, it's a social hour. They just come. Maybe they do table topics. Maybe someone will give a speech. Maybe they'll get an evaluation of, oh, that was a great speech. But mostly they pay the $60 and it's a place for them to get together once or twice a month. I've seen it. I've seen it in my district. It's unfortunate. I had a couple clubs when I was division director that I, was like, guys, yeah, stay away. We don't want to hear about it. We're happy where we are. Okay. They'll never be distinguished. They don't care about being distinguished. They don't care about what the district is doing. They just want to have their own little 2 hours a month. And you just have to say, okay, let me work on a club that's going to wants help or wants to do better. Preeti?
So Patty, and Sharon, you mentioned about creating a club website and also how we can assign the roles within the website. So I would like to know more about this. Since we are a new club, so I'm learning a lot of these things so that we can implement them into our club meetings. So would you be able to share something more like what is about creating a club website?
Yeah. So Preeti, before I'm gonna Sharon, I'm gonna let you talk about club uh free toast. But Preeti, I will tell you, coming from an organization that was corporate, um, we didn't get the ability because we weren't able to do an external website, like a Facebook website or anything. But what we did is we did more of an intranet type thing. So we would have a page on the intranet and we would update that with what the club was doing when we met, things like that. So that was more of what we did, was more of an internal page that was only seen to the members of the organization that I worked for, just so you know. Sharon, if you want to talk a little bit about free toast, I'm going to ask you to try to keep it within a minute or two, if you could, please.
So basically, Free Toast Toast is a free website that is a group that's associated with TI that you can just reach out and ask them to set up a Free Toast Toast website for you. I also have some information on, once you set it up, how to teach your members how to use it. If you give me your email address in the chat, I'll send you some information for you to look at with your members. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out.
Sure. Thank you, Sharon.
You're welcome.
What's the nice thing about it, Preeti, is once they fill everything in, that's your club agendas out there.
Yep.
So the agenda for your meeting, they are filling it in. So you don't have to have your VPE doing it or whomever does your club agenda for every meeting now. As I go in and say, I am going to be your table topic master. If my picture's on file, my picture will come up and it'll say Patty Walter, table topic master. And
Okay,
if
that's
you want
wonderful.
to speak, you go in and say, I'm on level 1 of collaboration. My title is What's Up, Man? And that all will be filled in on him. So, and it's all digitally saved. So it's also nice because you can go back to prior ones. And if the VPE can't be there today or whatever, they could go back and say, okay, who spoke? And give them credit, make sure, and all of that.
So this is all linked with the TI website as
Yeah.
well. Oh,
It's not,
perfect.
it's totally different than the TI website. It's another app but it's endorsed by TI.
Okay. So by that, I meant actually when you said that it would be automatically credited when even if the VP is not there. So that would mean that TI and this website are linked together somehow so that takes the credit, or is it all manual?
No, what I mean by that is you can push a button and you can scroll down and you can pick what path you're on and what level you're on, but it won't feed back to TI that you finished it.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
no, it doesn't do that. It has the list of levels and paths and stuff that you can pick where you're going, but it doesn't talk to TI at all, or TI doesn't talk to it otherwise.
It's,
Okay, got it.
it's more to manage the club itself from a VPE, VPM perspective of who's doing what and allowing them to put the information in for their speeches and what roles. Like me, I'm a president VPE. I use that to track who's doing what in their past, and then we recognize based on that. And we check roles as well to see if somebody's not is doing the same role week after week. So it's a way to manage. Once somebody completes something, that's totally in Pathways and Basecamp, and that's separate from the club website.
Okay. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right, so I'm going to move on because I'm running out of time. I love to talk. Everyone knows that. All right, so when it comes to club and the meeting rules, explain the officer rules. What are their responsibilities? How to contact them? Who you would contact for certain things? And then the same thing, the meeting rules. How does that fit in with their mission and growth, with the mission and the growth of the members? So explain to them too, when they're ready to start taking that leadership on, which role would be maybe the easiest. Maybe they start off with with just doing the joke of the day, if you do the joke of the day, or maybe they can just do a timer. So what roles can they start off and wean in easier before they decide to step into I'm going to be a Toastmaster? I want to be the Toastmaster, or I want to be the general evaluator, where there's a little bit more I don't want to say pressure on those roles, but a little bit more experience built in as a background. So explain the meeting rules, explain which ones you feel are the easiest for them to start taking on, like the timer, or maybe the grammarian, or the counter. I'm glad we don't have an counter tonight. Or maybe even we had a joke of the day. So people would say, well, I think I could do a joke of the day or a couple jokes. Perfect. But just to give them and get them to build the confidence of getting up either in front of the room, or even in virtual, to get up and talk, and stuff like that. Never force anybody to do that, but work with the mentors, the VPEs, the VPMs. Work with the mentors. If you've seen that, KJ's been around, she's been there a couple months, she hasn't taken a role, work with the mentor and say, hey, let's get KJ into a role next meeting, or the meeting after. Get them into a role. And if they say, well, I don't know what to do, say, well, then I think maybe what you should do is you should be the timer and have KJ time next to you. She doesn't have to be the official timer, but just get her used to saying, oh, okay, the person started talking, I'm going to hit the timer. The person stopped talking, I'm going to hit the timer. So just get them used to doing the rule, but not really be responsible. Then maybe they'll feel the next meeting, oh, okay, this was easy, I can do that. All right, so we're going to move on from oops, I went the wrong way. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my favorite conversation right here. This is my favorite. And the reason why it's my favorite, because I personally think this is the most important part of the meeting. That's just my own personal opinion. People may disagree with me, but I believe that this is the most important part of the meeting, because I'm paying $60 a quarter or whatever every 6 months, and I don't even to grow. And if I'm not getting evaluations to help me grow, then I'm wasting my money. And that's what happens. People like, I'm paying this money and I'm not getting anything of it. But I also feel for someone new walking into this is the hardest role for them to take. Because think about it. Think about any time you've in a new experience, joining Toastmasters, getting a new job. Nobody wants to hear what you have to say. That's what your impression of yourself is. What do I have to offer? I don't know anything yet. I'm new. When you're doing evaluations with somebody, before you even get them in the evaluation seat, it's important to explain the importance of the evaluation. And I just explained that. We are all looking for evaluations. This is a safe place. We're open to evaluations. Okay, we know that when we get evaluations, unlike maybe when you get one at work, we're getting an evaluation because people want to see us get better. When you're doing an evaluation, tell them, when you evaluate someone, put it on your own perspective. What did you see? What did you hear? What did you feel? Okay, what was your point of view? Don't make it defensive. Don't use the you. It's what I saw, what I heard, what I felt. And be specific. Sharon, when you gave that speech on the beach, I could see the waves hitting the rocks. I could see them by the way you use the descriptive language of the white foam on the wave as it came into the shore. Be specific with your evaluation. Okay. That way they know you were listening and they're going to appreciate it. And they're going to say, wow, you know what? Patti was listening to what I had to say. I want to hear what she has to say now. So that is why I think it's the most important part of the whole thing, is because I feel with evaluations that this is what the first step of them is, explaining the importance and explaining how to evaluate. The second part of evaluations to me is getting them to actually evaluate. And this is what I've always done. I've said to them, Jim, listen, I know you really don't want to evaluate. I know you're really nervous about this, but let me tell you what I'm going to do. At the next meeting, when we're going to sign up for rules, I'm going to volunteer to evaluate. And before the meeting, I'm going to give you the same evaluation form that I have. And I want you to sit there and listen and write down your notes. Write down what you saw, what you felt, what you heard. Be specific. You know, did you see the hands flying? Did you hear some really great language? And then for our next mentor session, you and I are going to just talk about this whole thing, about the evaluation, and see what you saw that I didn't see, or what you heard that I didn't hear, and talk about it. And do it a couple times till Jim says, you know what, Patti, I can do this. I can evaluate. And then say to them, you know what, Jim, the next time you evaluate, and I'll sit back and write down notes too. And then we can do this a third time and see the difference. But it's really important that you teach them how to evaluate. Don't just hand them the form. And this has worked really well for me when I've done it this way, when I've mentored, is take the role and then talk to them about it afterwards. And the person that's speaking doesn't even know that my mentor is evaluating them also. They just know that I am, but I've given them the opportunity to do it, to get that comfort zone, but not yet make them have to come up and speak about it. Because I think that's the hard part, is the speaking. But once they get comfortable writing it down and seeing it displayed a couple times, then they're like, oh yeah, this is something I can do. You're building their confidence without really letting them know you're building their confidence. Preeti, did you have a question?
No, Patty.
Okay. Okay. And then I'm going to follow up here with the organization. So explain to them, sometimes, before I get into this, sometimes what we suffer on a district level, and I'm going to talk a little bit about district because I've been on all three roles, is that the clubs work well in that club surrounding, but they don't realize that there's so much more to offer. They don't realize that they can have more leadership roles outside the club. So it's very important at a beginning stage, I'd say within the first 3 to 4 months, that they understand all about this. What's the demographic of the district? What states make up it? Like in ours, we have all of Connecticut, Western Massachusetts, and the eastern part of New York. So we're in 3 separate states. What are the roles? What is an area director? What is a division director? What are their responsibilities? What is the responsibility of the club growth director? Who is that? What do they do? Same thing with the program quality director and the district director. And then there's other roles that, that we have through there, like Norm Thibodeau, who does everything for the district. But there's a lot of different roles. Talk about the events. Talk about the contests. They may not be ready to compete, but you know what? Tell them, hey, you want to hear some good speeches? You really should go to the area contest, or you should go to the division contest. They may even be able to put you, pitch you to work, being a ballot counter or the sergeant of arms, things that you really don't need anything pre-qualified except being a paid member. But yet it gets you out in the open. It gets you to see these wonderful events. The conference that they have every year. We have a great conference every year. We switch it around in different states to make it even, because we have 3 states. But go to the conference. Yes, that's a little bit more out of pocket, but it's not only does it have the contest, it's great for networking. There's great learning opportunities there. I mean, just sell it. And then you can go in deeper into the international. What's the demographics? Where's the founder? But all that should already have been really done if you've gone through the website properly, because all of that international stuff is really right on the front page of the website. You know, you don't have to go into great details, but you can go into a little bit of it. And then don't hesitate to talk about who Smedley was and what's a distinguished club and why is a distinguished club important. You know, you talk to clubs and they're like, yeah, I don't want to be distinguished. You know, that just helps out the district. No, a distinguished club, yeah, all right, it does help with a district, but if you have a distinguished club, you have a strong club. You have a strong club that's going to survive. Does it help the district? Yeah, it helps us make some of the marks that we're supposed to make. But you know what? A distinguished club should be distinguished because they want to succeed. You look at clubs that have been distinguished over and over and over and over, and they've been here 20, 30 years. You look at clubs that just get by with 8 members, and they fold within a couple years. So a distinguished club isn't about, oh, you just want us distinguished because you want to help the district. No, we want you distinguished because a distinguished club means that you're a strong club and strong clubs succeed. And if you're paying this money to be better, don't you want to be better in a club that's strong and not going to fold in a year or two? So that's what that's all about. All right, so I am done with that. Now, KJ, you did miss the opening act. And that opening act was and we only have a minute, but we're still going to do it. I asked Preeti and Sharon to think about when they first started with Toastmasters and what are some of the things that came to mind. And then I asked them to think about, have you had any aha moments since then? Like, I wish I had known when I joined 3 years ago what this meant. Like, I'm going to stop sharing. I will tell you that I wish I had known that what a Triple Crown was. I was one speech away from getting my first Triple Crown. And someone told me on July 2nd that, you know, if you had finished that speech, my area director said, if you had finished that speech, you would have got a Triple Crown. Do you not think I was a little disappointed?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's one of the stories. So I'm going to go real quick with Preeti and then Sharon and then Jim if we have time. Preeti, is there anything that you wish that you had known or anything that you want to add to tonight that you put on your list?
To be honest, Patty, I think everything that you presented was an aha moment for me because 90% of these items were something that I would have really appreciated and have been like I think I was little more forward at this point if had I known about these points, but this presentation and these points are like an eye opener for me, and now I'm going to bring it back to my team so that the new people that have joined may benefit from all these points.
Okay, and I am putting in my email address for you if you need me to come talk to your team. I know I work days now, so I may not be, but if you need me to do anything, let me know. Send me an email. I'll be more than happy to give you any assistance that I can give you.
Thank you, Patty.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate it.
What about you, Jim? I'll share it. I'll get you go. Jim, anything that you put down that was a moment or anything that I needed to add?
I think the information you shared was very good. I know that I tried to write down, you saying, okay, something I learned in the last year or so, something that someone shared for me was probably a quote from Mr. Smedley. Toastmasters is a do-it-yourself program. And so if you go forth and do the work and give the speeches, give the evaluations, take the roles, then you will learn the most. And there certainly may be people who says, oh, I'm too busy, too much work, this or that, but they don't put in the time and they don't gain the benefit of the Toastmasters program. So that was an aha moment for me. And I certainly appreciate all that you shared, Patti. Thank you.
Thank you. Sharon.
Well, I
Sharon has
joined.
mentored me.
I joined under the old program before Pathways. And back then they basically gave you the book and I got a mentor. And Jim, you talked about self-paced. I'm going to say that's a good thing and a bad thing. Because when I heard self-paced, I was like, ooh, I can just sit back and see what I want to do and how often. And I didn't do anything. So one of the things I do with new people that I'm mentoring is emphasize to them, yes, it's self-paced, but the sooner you start, the better off you are. And so we set up a plan, because the other thing we didn't do, and I do now, is setting goals. I know we set goals at work, but we don't always set goals in Toastmasters. So I tell everyone to write up their goals and look at the why. Why did you join Toastmasters? That's the goal that you want to make sure we have. So we talk about that, and I didn't have that when I started. And the last thing was understanding, like TI, that website is overwhelming. And having someone to help walk me through it would have helped me immensely, as well as when I started back in Pathways, not understanding what I had to do. So a lot of what you said was spot on. That helped me immensely, was having someone to explain it, so I wasn't feeling overwhelmed and not knowing what to do. So thank you, Patty, for all that you pointed out today. But a lot of it was stuff I didn't get and I wish I had.
Yeah. KJ, do you want to add anything before we wrap it up?
I want to ask one quick question. What is a triple crown?
So, well, I'm trying to think what it is now. Triple crown is if you pass 3 levels now, right? It's a
If
triple
you
crown.
finish 3 levels in
Is it
one,
3 levels, Sharon, now? That, yeah, you get a pin that's called triple crown. Back then it was you had to get your CCCL and something else, I think,
It
to
was,
get your triple crown.
yeah, it was sort of the same thing. It was 3 different types of
Yeah.
speech that you had to do. So like the CC is equivalent to, say, level 1. The ACL is equivalent to level 2 and level
Yeah.
3. But you have to get 3 levels within a Toastmaster year from July 1st to June 30th in order to be qualifying for
Yeah.
a
So
Triple
yeah.
Crown.
So it's a little pin that you get says triple crown.
Yep.
And you can get, so if you've done like, if you did 6 levels, you would get 2 triple crowns.
but who would give it to you?
You're supposed to get, well, okay. So we do it on a leader as in a district at our conference. We'll put them out and give them to anybody who's gotten them. It all depends on how the district works them and how if the clubs do it, it depends on the district.
Okay.
So
One question I may ask, KJ, if you could please type your first name, last name, and District 46 in the chat. We're very grateful that you are able to attend. Our district services manager tracks attendance here, and we're glad that you were able to join us from a different district. But if he's trying to match your name within our district, we sort of need to give him a marker that you have attended from a different district. We're glad you came.
And also, KJ too, if you want to put your email in the chat, Jim, I don't think there's any reason why you couldn't send her the list of when the rest of the meetings are if she wants to join, right?
Absolutely. Yep. If you signed up and attended this one, you must have found that sign-up sheet. So we're very glad that you came, and you're certainly welcome to join any of our other Zoom meetings.
I've heard you guys on YouTube, and I feel very connected to the minds of the people in this district. I'm actually looking for a club. I actually am speaking, and I want to do it more of a business. I'm trying to find the right club that really I want to be better, right? I want to push. I don't want to be the best one in the room. And if you guys have any clubs, also I'm interested in competing. So you can let me know if a club or a
Where are you from, KJ?
I'm in District 46, and the name of my club is Travel Masters.
So District 46, New York?
Yes.
Okay.
we're the next one over, but it's
Yeah.
the energy. I'm not trying to, my district is cool. I like my district, but the energy is different here. And I've listened to you guys on YouTube and I just feel something. I don't know if that makes sense what I'm saying.
Mhm.
And so
Yeah.
I'm looking to be better. I
Mhm.
want to push myself and I want to be of service. So if, I don't know, if you guys can recommend a club or a space or something, I would love that. Thank you.
Yeah, and I do have a couple. Sharon, do you have any full time? Because you'd have to be remote. Do you have any full time remote clubs? Do you know? I know
Hmm.
Speakeasy has half and half hybrid, so they're hybrid. They have
Yep.
remote and that they meet
Let's
on
just,
Wednesday nights. I
let's
think
just
it's
say
It-
our club growth director or one or
yeah,
more of our division directors should be able.
yeah,
Again, you're right, Patty. I'm from a corporate club, so
yeah.
we'll just say that our club growth director should be able to assist you, and we can certainly uh, forward that information. That's CGD at d53tm.org. I just put that in the chat. I don't know about how your Zoom client is, but for me, I like to. There's a three dot menu near the chat, and I choose Save Chat.
Mhm.
And thank you very much for sending your information, KJ. We appreciate that you were able to join. And I was also posting some attachments and other helpful links in the chat. I think for the attachments, you might need to download those before this meeting ends. But we will certainly seek. I encourage you to save the chat with the links and other helpful resources that are available to you.
Jim, will you
Gotcha.
be downloading the slides into the chat so that people can
Uh,
download them?
I
Because they
could
were
do
very
that.
helpful.
I could do that. Is that okay with you, Patty?
Yeah, just so you know, Sharon, I just added my slides to the slides from the last one, just
That's
to make
fine.
it easier. So, I mean, I can
That's
throw them
Okay.
in there if you want.
And
that's
Miss
fine.
Patty, you're very good. You're very good. Like you
Thank
explain
you.
things so clearly. And I knew what some things you were saying, but you drove home a lot of information. And I'm just happy to be here in your room. Thank you guys.
You're welcome. I took down your information too. I got couple of clubs in Massachusetts that are either hybrid or fully online. So that maybe that you can assist. Can you get it to go in, Jim?
I will do that. Yes,
Yeah.
just one moment.
Because if
And
you
KJ, there is also a link on the Toastmaster International website. And I'll have to look it up, but it actually will give you a listing of all online clubs that you can then look where they're located and see, it tells you where they're located.
So that's the Find a Club feature on the Toastmasters International website, or is it?
No, it's
No.
something different. It only lists online clubs
Okay.
that
I
are,
just put it in there, Jim. I got it.
Yep. So did I. All right. There we
Oh,
go. There we go. I'm gonna
suffer or not.
fill up
Yeah.
that Zoom chat. Anyway,
All right.
thank you all for joining. Thank you, Patty, for presenting. We really appreciate your presentation. Thank you, everyone, for attending. Are there more questions, more thoughts that you would like to share before we end this evening?
I would just like to say that it was really helpful session and I really enjoyed and got a lot of information. Thank you, Patty and Jim, for organizing all these sessions. And thank you, Sharon, for your inputs as well.
Let me just delete my message so the chat doesn't get too big. I just deleted mine. You're welcome. I really enjoyed doing this. I thank Jim for reaching out and asking me if I would do this. I did, like I said, I did put my email address. So if PD or KJ, if you want to talk more, please feel free to reach out. Sharon
Yes.
already knows it, so I don't have to give it to her.
Yeah, my email is in there as well. And you can see the CGD at d53tm.org. If you would like, I can certainly send an email as a matter of introduction, both to you and to Jackie Kessler, who is our club growth director, and inform Jackie of your type of request. And so I am sure that Jackie will be willing to help you.
Absolutely.
Great.
Thank
All
you.
right,
Okay.
guys, have a good night. Thank you so much. Stay
Thank
warm.
you. Good night.
Thank
Good
you,
night.
everyone. Night, night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.